Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and I'm host of the podcast, The Truth That Heals, where I talk about cults, abuse, trauma, but also about healing. And I have a segment on my YouTube channel, which you are watching right now, where I watch movies and I'll give my own analysis breakdown from my perspective as someone who has come out from a religious cult. So the movie for today that we're going to be discussing is the film Babylon. And before watching this movie, like always, I don't like to watch trailers. I just like to kind of jump into the film. And seeing the title Babylon already in my mind, you know what I'm thinking? Oh, it's going to be biblical. So this is going to be about something about Sodom and Gomorrah and something about the Bible and Revelation, Apocalypse. Not at all. So if you're thinking that this movie is a biblical movie, then you're watching the wrong movie. So keep on following this video and spoilers, but we'll be breaking down some things that I saw in the film, and I hope you enjoy it. So this film follows multiple characters, but I want to stick with two characters. The one being Brad Pitt's Jack Conroy, Leroy, I believe his name is. And then you have the character of Margaret Robbie, Nellie Leroy. Dude, man, I'm bad with remembering names, so I'm just going to use a name of the actors. So Brad Pitt's character as well as the character of Margaret Robbie. So you have these two characters. The first one being Brad Pitt's character, and it's taking place in the Roaring 20s, the 1920s, in Los Angeles, and he's already a part of the Hollywood lifestyle, but he's big from the silent era. And then you have Margaret Robbie's character who's trying to break through and be a part of this Hollywood community. She wants to not just be a star, but she wants other people to see that she is a star. The first character that I would like to discuss is Brad Pitt's character. So Brad Pitt's character, he's starting off in the silent era, and he's already in Hollywood. But the thing is, there is a development because he was the man in the silent era. But now there's sound in films. Now things are changing. Now there's more competition. And as the film goes, you'll start to see that he's not who he used to be. And he isn't as popular. He isn't as loved. And seeing that, I think, as you'll see in the film, it really bothers Brad Pitt because he expected, I'm assuming he expected that all that fame and glory to just last forever. But it fades and he falls hard, and it ends up with his self-destruction. The second character is Margaret Robbie's character because she wants to get into Hollywood. And there are other characters in the film whom you're going to see who also want to get into Hollywood, and they have their own stories, but let's stick with Margaret Robbie's. She wants to get into Hollywood so bad, and she's really an amazing actress, and she has the talent. And something that she sees along the way is that as this talent, as her fame, because she has a talent, but as the fame comes, and the money comes, there are people who are using Margaret Robbie, of course, for her talent. And there are people, the powers that be in Hollywood, who, if they're going to give money, you have to behave a certain way. So in Brad Pitt's case, he starts off already on top. And Margaret Robbie, she starts off from the bottom, but she's climbing to get to the top. She wants to get there. But in both cases, you see them both spiraling down. So as Margaret Robbie's character is spiraling down, she needs to get something done in Hollywood. She needs to get back in business. but there has to be funding. So she goes to these events where she has to behave a certain way, but you know that she's being fake. And you know that people are pleasing these extremely rich, extremely powerful people, and you have to be you have to play your part, not only in the movies but also in the social. And you see Margaret Robbie kind of have a break where she doesn't want that BS. So I'm gonna stop with this. In the movie, I'm gonna stop at this part where Margaret Robbie is descending, and in order for her to climb up, she needs to please these rich, powerful people. But she's struggling with that because it's just too fake, and she doesn't want this BS of kissing their ass all the time, which I'm pretty sure it does happen in Hollywood, and we've seen with Harvey Weinstein, and luckily people have finally spoken out. And with Brad Pitt's character, he's going down, and he's rubbing elbows with a lot of people, but they're using him, and he knows that they're using him, and he stays in his place. He stays in line, but it doesn't help him out. And then you see ultimately his destruction. So now what I want to do is break down the film for you in a way that you can understand my own perspective, my own viewing of the film, because like I've said, I've come from a religious cult background, and I'm still struggling at times with some of the ideologies and being judgmental, and I'm working on it. But seeing the title Babylon, I'm already thinking apocalypse, a city in the Bible that was wicked. But I came to watch this film with an open mind, and it's not at all what I thought it was going to be. Nothing about Jerusalem and the horror of Babylon. It was totally different. But what does the name Babylon mean? I don't even know. So I Googled it, and it comes from, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this right, Akkadian language. I believe that was used in the time of Nebuchadnezzar. And the meaning was gate of God. So Babylon, this gate of God, LA, Hollywood, represents that in the film. And like I'm saying, this is just the way I saw it. But who's in that gate? Already you have Brad Pitt. He's in the gate. He's in the city. He's in. But you have Margaret Robbie trying to get in, trying to get through this gate and into this city, into Hollywood. So going back to the two characters, Brad Pitt's, he enjoys this lifestyle. He loves it. And I'm thinking that he believes that it's going to last forever. It's going to be like this. Since he's in, it's never going to fade. He's on that high. And then Margaret Robbie, she hasn't gone through the gates yet, but she wants to get through the gates because she believes that she's got what it takes. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about philosophy. So if that bores you, well, I'll try not to make it so boring. But you see that, like with Margaret Robbie and the other characters in the film, they have this idea of what it's going to be like when you're famous and when you're on top. And their world is, drugs, sex, drinking, gambling, and it's just all these vices. And with Brad Pitt, he's in that life. And there's that idea that, like I said earlier, that it's perhaps never going to fade. And this reminds me a lot of the theory of ideas by Plato. So, like I said, I'm not a deep philosopher, but from my understanding of this world or theory of ideas, this world of ideas by Plato is you see something and So you see something, but in your mind, in your idea, you have this. Let's call it a standard. So I'm not totally using uh, Plato's philosophy, but just the idea of having like a standard. There's like a perfection exists, and so you have Margaret Robbie outside the gate trying to get in, and she has this idea that this life is going to be just great. It's going to be perfection. It's going to be awesome. And Brad Pitt, wow, this life is totally cool. That's what the idea is, that this is going to last forever. So in Plato's theory of ideas, you have this world. Let's call it like the cloud, where you have this ideas of perfection, and they're in this cloud, and then so you have the cloud, and then you have the real world. So it's like a metaphysical. You have the metaphysical and the physical, and in this real world, things aren't going to be exactly what we imagine it in this cloud. There's that illusion that it's going to be perfection. The idea is, oh, once I'm in Hollywood, everyone's going to love me. Nothing's going to go wrong. But as you see from the characters, they're already in the gates, Babylon. They're already in the city. They're in. But why is it that they fall? Why is it that there is this destruction? And I think it's a reminder for people like me, for people like you, people who are trying to be somebody, that look at history. All these people who had these ideals that, hey, like once I'm in, it's going to be nice, and all the money, it's going to be nice, and perhaps it is nice for a while. But if you allow yourself to just get swept into it, it really can be devastating. And we see in the newspapers, or I mean, I know people don't read the newspaper as much anymore, but get on your phone, you see like on social media, the death of this person. How did they die? Drug overdose, or other certain circumstances which are tragic and could perhaps have been prevented. But it repeats itself throughout Hollywood and in our civilization and other civilizations, of wanting to be on top, wanting all of those comfortable lifestyle habits. But unfortunately, it brings down, in many cases, I'm not sure all, but in many cases it brings the person down. So like Margaret Robbie, she's going up and she starts to go down, and all she has to do is kiss ass to these rich people. But instead of doing that, she pretty much blows up, and she continues her cycle, going down with the vices of alcohol, drugs, gambling. So for a while, I was really thinking about this film. I was really thinking about Babylon and the meaning, gates of God, and getting through this gate. And I don't know why I started thinking about Plato, about this world of ideas, this cloud where you think everything is perfection, and then the real world where everything is chaos. And then I started thinking about Augustine, and if you know his life, he was a party guy, from what I remember. He loved the flesh. So the way I think of Augustine was, he was also in, and he's, I think, from the year 400 or something, from somewhere in Africa. But anyways, Augustine, he's really in this lifestyle of giving into the flesh. And I'm not saying that everything of the flesh is bad. I'm just giving my the way I saw the film and how my mind works. So Augustine, he's living a life of the flesh, but then he's not satisfied. He doesn't find this satisfaction, and it's kind of like the film, like they're on top, but every time they're on top, there's that absence of, I don't know, maybe the absence of meaning, the absence of worth. I don't know. But with Augustine, you see him struggling, and for me, it's like Augustine was also in this city. He was in the gates, and the thing is that when you see his life, he had his own conversion, and I'm not going to get into that. But he has his confessions. He writes his book of how sorrowful he is for the kind of lifestyle he has. And he goes on to write this book, City of God. And I haven't read the book. I have no idea what it's about. But now I'm seeing as I'm thinking, I'm seeing this film as, yes, there is that gate of God, and they walk through it, Babylon, but there's all this wickedness, destruction, and sorrow and emptiness. And then you look at Plato and this world of ideas, and then the reality that not everything is going to be as you have planned. And you might have these ideas, you might have these ideals, and reality is just going to take you, life is just going to take you in another direction. And then you have Augustine, and Augustine was also very much influenced by the philosophy of Plato. And with Augustine, being a person very much involved in the flesh and the world, you see him before in his confessions, and in the confessions, there's just so much. I don't know if it's sorrow, I'm not sure, or remorse, but there's something there where you see that his heart is searching for something. His soul is thirsting for something. And then he writes City of God. So you have Babylon, the city of the world, and then you have the city of God, this ideal, this perfectionism. So I don't know. Now maybe I'm going to have to read some philosophy on Plato, and maybe I should read City of God by Augustine. But I'm not trying to preach or anything. But this movie just got me thinking of how easy it is to fall into that search for fame, that search for power, for money, for people to love you. And sometimes the people whom you're around, they don't care about you. They just care about using you. And I don't know how to feel about this film. I mean, I enjoyed most of it, but I can't recommend it because I know that some people might find it disturbing. But if you don't really give a damn about disturbing themes, go ahead and watch it. But I personally liked it. But like I said, I don't recommend it because it is a very dark and disturbing film. And the way I watch films is probably way different from everybody else. But anyways, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for watching. And tomorrow, Friday, I'll be posting a video on my YouTube and also on my Spotify. And it's an interview on my podcast where I have a special guest who shares with us her experiences in sex traffic and the realities that this is still a problem, and how important it is that we be informed of the harms of the sex trafficking business, which is still going on, not just overseas, but close to home. So that's it. Thank you for watching this, my movie thoughts for the film Babylon. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and on my Instagram and even on my Patreon if you would like to support. And stay tuned for more video reviews and for more episodes on my podcast, which you can follow on Spotify and on other major podcast platforms, and that is on The Truth That Heals podcast. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful day.